An 18-footer looks like it's a half-court shot, like, right?
It's the Olympics are different than anything. They're ref differently. The spirit of the games is different. You know, there's a national pride along with just basic competitiveness and, you know, trying to represent the Philadelphia 76ers as you would. Now say, well, go represent, you know, Cameroon or go represent Australia. The rules change. And like there's a country bond, there's a patriotism, there's a global feel like you're in the world's game, and you are. And the Olympic Games is very, very different than anything that I've ever been a part of. And I've been to, you know, championship stuff and all that. There's nothing like the Olympic Games.
And to this point, like watching those games, like Carmelo stepped up, I believe it was here.
Yeah.
And KD, like, it's almost like they were the only people capable of making an 18-foot shot in the guts of the game.
Yeah, well, that's the evolution of USA basketball. I think Jerry Colangelo deserves a lot of credit. You know, I remember sort of, you know, Pop's days with Larry, and like it was kind of fragmented, and Pop was all over the blueprint of what it should look like. And the commitment that the USA players from that point on made, and you know, Jerry got them to commit. And now they actually, you know, there's a love of the game that they obviously have going through an NBA season and still finding time to represent their country and do something incredibly special. You know, there's nothing like the Olympic Games.
When you, I mean, it's crazy that Boston's already passed, I think, game number 41 on the year. When you scout them and look at them, have they changed at all? Have they evolved as a team from two earlier meetings you've had with them this season, and how so?
Oh, I think that they took the injury, a horrific injury, to Gordon Hayward, and the minutes and the opportunity that Jaylen Brown got, and the empowerment, even more empowerment, that Jason Tatum got. And you look at like those two especially, and then you look at like the way Rozier is playing, and you look at Marcus Smart. Like those are their draft picks. And I give them credit. I give them credit because their draft picks have turned out to be good players, and they're part of a system. You know, you could almost, you know, talk about like Cov and TJ, you know, representing those slots for us. You know, everybody finds players differently. And I think to your question of how have they responded since the beginning, they've taken that injury, they've empowered some young guys, they've grown some of their guys, and they still got two All-Stars. You know, when people talk about like us in Boston, I'm always looking over my shoulder. They went out and got two All-Stars. And, you know, their growth is expedited for that, and we respect them. It's just we're on different sort of paths. And I feel like at the end of the day, their growth impresses me, their defense impresses me a lot, and, you know, right now they're the crown jewel of the East.
How does, like, Horford stir the drink for them on both ends?
Well, let's go to the offense first. The fact that he can pick and pop and make threes is a game changer as a five. Like, he really makes you second guess of how you're going to guard him in a pick and roll. And his percentages confirm that sort of fear, that respectful fear that we have on him offensively. Defensively, he's a man. He's solid. He's been in the NBA for a while. He gets NBA basketball. Their rules are very similar to, you know, a lot of NBA teams, and they execute them well. And he leads the charge. You know, he leads the charge. He really has a lot of sort of responsibility as, at times, their rim protector. I just think solid is probably the elite solid, all-star solid are the words that I think of when I think of him defensively.
Brett, I know you have 5 international guys on your team, but how do you think the American players took this trip, Eric?
I think they took it well. You know, I enjoy having fun with them. We put them through a quiz of, like, you know, what country's London in, what really makes up Great Britain, you know, what makes up the United Kingdom, what's the body of water between, you know, the two islands, you know, what's the closest European countries on the mainland, you know, all those things, and just to show them. I showed them maps of where we actually are geographically and asked them those types of questions. We had a push-up game, coaches versus players, and I think that they've responded well. You know, I think it's just it's a great opportunity all around, and I feel like we've walked that line of having a family cultural, enjoyable experience and still being professional in the way we approach things with the mindset of coming here to win.
Brett, how would you like to go to Australia? I mean, you were the national coach there. You lived there, 17 years
Yes.
of your life?
Yeah.
And then you have Ben Simmons. I
Yeah.
mean, basketball is getting very popular over there. How would you like that opportunity?
I think it's a no-brainer. You would play in front of whatever the venue could hold. If you went to Sydney and Melbourne and Perth and Adelaide and Brisbane, if you had, and I mean this, if you had 30,000 seat arenas, you'd fill them all. And I think that the basketball environment in Australia has never been in a better stage. You look at all of the NBA players, you look at all of the WNBA players, you look at NCAA basketball, how it's littered with both boys and young men and women, and they love basketball. And to bring Ben Simmons, say, back home in the environment that the country is in, it's completely a no-brainer from, I kind of think, every angle, publicity-wise, entertainment-wise. I say that biased, like I'd like to do the right thing by Australian basketball. I understand it's a small country, and sometimes that in itself isn't, sort of the marketing attraction that others would want. But from a sheer like popularity standpoint and interest standpoint, it's a no-brainer.